The internal sense of Daniel, chapter 1. When the church among the Jewish nation had been destroyed, Babylon appropriated to herself all things pertaining to it. She wished to know all things of the church, and to acquire an understanding of them, and this was the beginning of Babylon. Daniel chapter 2. The future character of Babylon foretold. This was not known to those who made common cause with Babylon. They were blinded. But it was disclosed by revelation from the Lord to those who are of the church. The progress of the Babylonish religion follows. First, the rulers would learn and teach the goods and truths of heaven and the church, and afterwards they would backslide, until nothing remained except what was adulterated, thus what was merely false and evil, and then the Lord would come. First the word will be taught there, according to truths of doctrine drawn from it. Afterwards the church will prevail, not from spiritual good, but from natural good. Finally, all good and truth will be changed by adulterations into evil and falsity, prevailing only through civil, diabolic power. Then the Lord will come and destroy that religion, and will institute a church that will be in divine truth from him. This was the beginning of Babylon, when it worshipped the God of heaven and magnified doctrine from the word. Daniel chapter 3. Babylon was minded to depart from the worship of the Lord to the worship of another god, which is the statue of gold set up by Nebuchadnezzar. All such agreed together, threatening all that they would otherwise be cast into hell. Those rulers who worshipped the Lord did not obey. They were therefore excommunicated and condemned to hell by Babylon, together with all things of the Lord's church. But still no harm came to them, and it was clearly seen that they were protected by the Lord. Babylon was compelled by this to acknowledge and worship the Lord. Daniel chapter 4. It is foretold what Babylon will be, and whither their mind was moved. This was not known to those who were Babylon. It was known to those who were of the Lord's church. They purposed to have dominion over heaven and the church, when that religion should extend over much territory. Then they would no longer have any goods and truths of heaven and the church. Nevertheless, the word would remain with them, although perverted. Then those who were of the Lord's church perceived what those of the Babylonish religion were interiorly, and how far they wished to extend their dominion. They were so stupid in respect to the truths and goods of the church as to be no longer men, and this fact was confirmed from heaven, where they were seen to be such. They feared as yet to extend their dominion over heaven and the church, but acknowledged the Lord before those who were under obedience to them. Daniel chapter 5. Babylon profaned all things of heaven and of the church. It was perceived from the word that it was profane, but it was not perceived by the primates who were in that religion. It was confirmed by those who were in the truths of the church that it was contrary to the word for them to have exalted themselves above the Lord, and that thus they profaned things holy. That religion was at an end, because there was no longer good and truth of the church. Thus everything of the church there came to an end. Worship of the Lord was thought about as in the church. Daniel chapter 6. They deliberated about this, and concluded that they should be worshipped in place of the Lord, which decree being gainsaid by those who were of the Lord's church, it was ordained that they should undergo the punishment of the Inquisition, which is the lion's den, into which Daniel was cast. But still they were guarded by the Lord, that they may not undergo that punishment. But on the contrary, those who invented that crime were cast into hell, and those who were in worship of the Lord were saved. Daniel chapter 7. Revelation concerning the successive changes of the state of the church. The first, while they were in the understanding of truth. The second, when they studied only the sense of the letter of the word. The third, when the sense of the letter of the word was falsified, and falsity was made to appear as truth. The fourth, when there was faith alone which destroyed all things of the church, and which was confirmed by the sense of the letter of the word. They were judged from the word, and that faith was wholly destroyed. And those who were in the former states were judged according to their life, and the church became the Lord's. Further explanation of those things. 4 successive states of the church are meant. The last state is faith alone, confirmed by reasonings, and by the word falsified, by virtue of which they would prevail. And this until the Lord shall institute the church which has been destroyed by faith alone, and which despises the Lord himself. Finally, those who are in faith alone will be judged, and a new church will be established by the Lord. Thus comes the end. Daniel chapter 8. Prediction concerning the church in respect to charity and in respect to faith. The church which is in faith and in charity, and its power. It will increase in truths and goods. Faith alone will wholly destroy charity. It will prevail through reasonings, by which it will dissipate the truths of doctrine that are derived from the word. It will destroy the worship of the Lord together with divine truths. This will go on until the coming of the Lord. It is further explained that this will be when the Lord comes. Faith alone will destroy the church and despise the Lord. This is the end of the church. It is a sad time. Daniel chapter 9. The coming of the Lord and the end of each church, the old and the new. Revelation respecting the end of the church. Confession respecting the Jewish church destroyed. Revelation. After the church has been consummated, the judgment will come, and the word will cease, and the Lord will glorify his human. Afterwards a new church will be established, but not easily. Afterwards falsity will invade that church and will destroy it. Still there will be a reformation, but this church will also perish from mere falsities and evils. Matthew 24 verse 15. Daniel chapter 10. Manifestation of the Lord to reveal those things that will be in the new church, respecting such as are in faith alone, and respecting such as are in truths from good, who are meant here by Michael. Daniel chapter 11. The king of the south here means the church which is in truths of faith from good of charity, and the king of the north means the religion that is in faith separate from charity. How the changes followed each other did not appear in the world, but in heaven. The church among the Jewish nation will be destroyed. Then a new church will be established, which will be in faith from charity. Charity will be conjoined to faith, but faith will prevail. And yet with some, charity will prevail, and will therefore be the first thing of the church. Their posterity will fight for faith and will conquer. Faith will gain strength against charity and consequent faith, and will overcome the latter. The dogma followed that charity is from faith. Contention about various sayings respecting this subject from the word. They simulated the dogma of charity, from which they had quasi-consociation. Confirmations from the word in favor of charity were explained perversely, and they destroyed faith originating in charity. Painful conjunction. Faith broke up the painful conjunction, adulterated the word itself, and thus destroyed the church. It was objected to by many, nevertheless they were overcome. Finally, faith alone obtained, a religion which destroys all fear of God and the whole church. It worships another God than the Lord. Thus faith originating in charity was subjugated. Nevertheless, those who believe the word in simplicity will remain. Faith alone will also destroy by reasonings from the natural man. When the end comes, those who are natural sensual will be persistent. Daniel chapter 12. Near the end, a new church will begin in which the Lord will be worshipped, and the faith of charity will be received. Then those who are in that faith will come into heaven, but not the rest. They will become intelligent. All this will come to pass at the consummation. This revelation is from the Lord. The evil will not understand, but the good. The beginning of that church.